All right, hey, brothers and prospective brothers, I want to thank you for coming tonight and welcome you to our first Evening of Champions. And as we were thinking, yes, as I was thinking about tonight and what brother we can highlight, I'm like, what is the scariest, most divisive brother that we can put on stage? Joe Wang. No, I'm just kidding. The spirit of being a champion is truly embodied in this brother sitting next to me, in mind, body, and spirit. And really, Joe is somebody who's larger than life physically, and his personality precedes him. And we love you, and that's why you're here as our #1 guest. So,
all right, thank you, Brother DQ. Thank you, Brother DQ.
So, you did an amazing podcast with Will and his crew on the Wild podcast. So I really encourage people to listen to Joe's full story. We're not going to get into every nook and cranny. They are the professionals. But we're going to have a little fun during this segment. So why don't we start? You said you came from Taiwan as an immigrant to New York. So tell us a little bit about your upbringing.
Right. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you guys all for being here. When Deron asked me this about a month ago, I said, I know everybody here, would they have any interest? I don't want to be speaking to you alone in a room. And then he's like, Joe, they want to hear you. So I was like, thank you for coming and being part of this with us. This is one of the first evening, because I know Deron has done a great job in doing the breakfast and show up. And so evening, you guys had to, beat the traffic to get here. And, it took me an hour and a half to get here. I'm sure, Deron, you took a while. So, kudos to you guys. And we'll give you some entertainment. There's a lot of good stories I want to share. And Deron has set up the stage for us to do that. But with that said, yes. So I'm an immigrant. So lots of opportunities, the land and opportunities of USA, right? That's why we're all here. And my parents ended up immigrating originally from China. So my father, his background, the reason I'm giving you this, I would allude to why you guys are thinking, how does he get to where he's done? My grandfather was in the Olympics during World War II. So he was a soccer star for China. Okay, so the athletic side kind of started from that, but they didn't want us to play. Nobody wanted us to do anything because, we got to work, we got to study. So I think that's the mindset a lot of you guys have with your families and background being Asian and so forth. So I came here and I wanted to change that mindset. My sister got an MBA, she worked on big firms, and she married a Wall Street, Columbia, MBA, Army, West Point. So she, kind of followed that path. But I just didn't have that passion to follow that dynamic. So I chose the sports route.
So were you bullied in school growing up?
See, that's why this is going to get interesting. So the dynamics of the word bully, which is quite interesting, is that, the Chinese, Japanese, and I don't remember what they used to, the chink word used quite a bit. And I don't know if you guys experienced that growing up, but of course I have. And, one of the difference that I always took the stand is, I didn't really go fight them, but I stood up and I picked on things that they look awkward in, and I used that to my benefit. So we had some. So I was always a good kind of speaker in that way, where I challenged them, from that aspect. And, I think in life, and that's why we have, this is a plug for FF, why we're all here, we're brotherhoods, right? Yeah. The thing is, I made some great friends, okay, playing sports. I made some great friends. So wherever I went, it was my own fraternity of brotherhood. People followed what I did and so forth. So I always had backup. So anytime somebody wanted to start, it wasn't just me alone, and we had 5-6 guys behind me. So if you guys grew up in the United States and you go to high school, your new transition, this is a great story, right? So I was a freshman, Chinese kid, going to a public school, They call it Freshman Friday. You guys remember that? You guys ever had that term, Freshman Friday? You get teased, you get, all the bad things happen. I had the whole football team, the biggest dudes behind me. And they're like, you fuck with this guy? Somehow that happened. I don't know. Because, I was just a freshman. So, we're at football practice. And what football practice allowed was we started before school started. So I already had that relationship. Mm-hmm. And as you guys get to know me and so forth, you'll see I'm very loud and boisterous. My voice is very booming. So that was already, people know who I was, right? They didn't say that he looked, chinkish or whatever. They just, kind of brought me in, the football guy. So that's why I think I fell in love with football, because there was no nationality tainted with that, at least where I grew up.
Well, if I was in a fight, I just want one Joe Wang behind me. So.
You are a smart guy, Darren, DQ.
So you started playing football, and how did that carry on? Did you play throughout high school and then in college?
Yeah, so, sports-wise, just to cycle back a little bit, right? You grow up and you're like, what are you going to do? Parents don't want you to play. My father ended up getting a job at Eastman Kodak Company, right? Immigrating from Taiwan. And you guys know Eastman Kodak. It was the biggest thing. He was the second Chinese guy ever hired in Rochester, New York. And then my mother ended up brought us over because she was a nurse, and back then those are the immigration. Like, she was a civil service. She can come in and immigrate she immigrated all our family members, and to this day her siblings call her the pioneer and that brought everybody over, including us, right? So by being that, nobody wanted to do other than work, right? So we had to do a Chinese restaurant. My dad was at Kodak. So sports-wise, they didn't want me to play, right? Nobody wants us to play, because one, you get hurt, and then who's going to take care of you? So we ended up, I fought my whole life to play sports, just so you guys know. And then had to help with the Chinese restaurant, and then going through that. I owe a lot to people in my neighborhood that ended up, because when we had the Chinese restaurant business, the only way I was able to play sports was I get a ride back and forth. My dad being at Kodak, this old guy, he's passed a long time before I even left New York. He used to drive me. And his name is Henry Willem. You guys won't remember, but we sincerely talk about him for my life, is because he was the one that drove me everywhere when my parents are working. So you got a stranger, a white guy, old white guy, driving a Chinese kid back and forth. So that's how the passion started, kind of with that.
Yeah,
so it wasn't easy.
Wow. And I mean, obviously it takes a lot of, takes a village to raise kids. It takes a village to raise sports athletes, giving the opportunity to do that. And I love what you were talking about, your mom, like bringing over her family, because it's almost like a parallel, and we're jumping ahead in Joe's great story, but like your passion around trying to help your son Jameson, who's the only Asian D1 quarterback at Cornell.
That is correct. No, only Division I quarterback in the U.S. playing football at any level.
Any level.
Any level.
And like your passion is obviously to help him succeed and eventually get into the NFL, but it's also bringing along all the other Asians and Asian Americans as well. So I know we're jumping ahead, but you want to talk a little bit about where that passion comes from of really wanting to change the narrative around Asians and Asian Americans in sports.
No, that's actually the right, kind of description. Changing the narrative is, we growing up, all of us, I know you guys, everybody here had great education, studied hard, worked hard, family, and FF has that background, right? Because that's how it started, These were affluent college Ivy Leaguers, needed to fit in somewhere, right? So that's what I did, is that I showed that, look, we can use sports also to do that. And then, so basically, you know, I wanted to have something behind me, and we'll call it a legacy of something, you know. And so people that know me here, I work corporate America, right? So we didn't all just start doing what we're doing, right? Clifton will always brag about my Microsoft experiences because, you know, I made my career at Microsoft. I met Bill Gates, I met Steve Ballmer, and then what happened? I was like, I don't change the world by meeting them because they've done a great job. So one of the things while working there, I said to myself, how do I leave a legacy? Because I can't beat these guys. These guys are brilliant, you know, scientists, technologists. And I said, you know, what do I have that's different than everybody else? You know, China was booming. And I said, all right, maybe I can have, and this is a tagline that I've been using, the next Yao Ming, right? So Yao Ming, everybody knows, nobody's confused, 7'6" Chinese basketball players. But there's no football player that has that, you know, tagline, right? So I said, let's go look for, it's called Looking for the Next Yao Ming. And I pitched that when I started with this football project. I wasn't thinking about my son. I was just like, okay, if I can train this kid, maybe I can go, you know, to another country and find somebody, you know, that can be just more, you know, kind of dynamic, you know, and so forth. So part of the segue of how football in China kind of got created was like, I got to do something that I think I can differentiate this world. And football, I mean, you're not going to find many Chinese speaking, I'm fluent in Mandarin, that knows the game, okay, that can talk to NFL players and NFL coaches, you know, in a way that they respect, right? So I mean, there's people out there. One of them is Norm Chow. If you guys are college football fans, Norm and I are very good friends. He comes over to my house, I go over to his house. He's asking me to get his Chinese visa renewed. It's funny, but like you ended up, there's only two guys, right? And I can't compare with Norm Chow, but Norm has been an influential part of our life, you know, just being along with that. So
you're not doing this for the money? Yeah. You're not trying to like sell T-shirts with Jameson long time, or I don't know, like.
Well, eventually, you know, there is going to be money, but it's going to take a while. Yeah. Selling T-shirts, Deron, is not going to make money.
That's not going to make money.
But the enterprise of sports entertainment, we have a lot of them here, right? Chris Chen, where are you? You're a sports entertainment guy. So there's going to be a licensing piece, and you know, I have all the access in China. It's just that we can't find the next Yao Ming. So until we find that, it's going to change everything.
So on that China part, I mean, obviously, huge population. Why is it that they have not been able to find somebody that meets that next Yao Ming of football?
So I love that question because I get that all the time. I get that in China, and here's the reason is that there's a one-child policy. Okay, so they cuddle the son. The son can't play any contact sports. And then what ends up happening, they all very soft growing up, right? Like we have, you know, sports to teach him and stuff. You know, what is the top sports in China, right? Badminton, ping pong. See, we all know, right? And golf and tennis is picking up, but those are very expensive, right? And one of the things is what we discuss and how I was able to enter with colleges is about teamwork, right? Teamwork. How do you get people to work together, right? And then the biggest thing after teamwork is brotherhood, right? Brotherhood. I said, you know, you don't know how to make, and they don't know how to make friends. So when we get them together, you can see the awkwardness of them trying to socialize, but then they have something in common. They're all hurting. Because once you get hit one time, even though you're not a good hitter, but somebody gets hurt, and they're all like trying to soften them and stuff. Then we see a lot of that baby, and that's when I come out. It's like, you know, trying to make them tougher. I grab them and throw them off to the side and so forth. But that's the strategy, right? To show and the college administrator, like, this is what we need. Our guys are too soft. So they adopted the sport as part of their curriculum. That's how I was able to kind of you know, kind of just continue to bring this sport. But the athletes is where it starts first, right? And that's very hard to find, right? Because all the best athletes in China, they already sequestered them, right? If you're like, you know, 6 feet, 7 feet, you're in a camp to basketball, right? And if you got certain skills, you're doing something else. And the funniest story is, it was about 10 years ago, you know, and we were, you know, getting in there, and then I was working with the NFL. We had the NFL experience there, and part of it is, if you guys know what the NFL, when they try out athletes, is they do a combine, and one of them is a 40-yard dash. And so we line it up, and I brought college coaches and NFL athletes, and we're setting it up, and it's a real setup stadium, you know, and so forth. And we found a guy that we clocked running to 40. If you guys understand his speed, he ran it at 4.3 with our hand clock, and we had this on film, jumping up for joy, and we're like, this, we got it. We found because that's a hard thing to find, right? The speed aspect of it. And then we were trying to get him in the United States. That's a sidebar. It didn't happen, but that was the start of it. And I said, we can find somebody, you know. But the thing is, China takes all their really good athletes and put them somewhere sequestered. I mean, you know, all of a sudden they show up and they're like playing basketball. That's it.
So are you still doing anything with NFL China?
Well, the thing is, you know, we were in a life cycle that changed a lot of our lives, right? We call it the COVID, right? The COVID. So all the stuff I was telling you is we were just about to launch something really exciting, and then COVID comes in. So we've been on a almost 3-year hiatus, but I recently went back. I brought my son's Cornell team back this summer. And we were very welcomed, and believe it or not, I mean, part of the difficulty when you get an invite to go there, they cover everything, and they, you know, there's expenses that they have to pay, right? So that's.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, China must, I mean, be so grateful to have Jameson as an Ivy League educated athlete. So was he like a superstar as soon as he, you know, got on the field and threw a football? And
I wish it was that easy.
You know?
Yeah. We all, like, you have kids, you know, like the struggle that you have to get them through things. I think what it is, people ask, like, how did this, it's not a sequence, I mean, it's not like a one or two things. There's thousands of things that happen. But one of the things I think you got to attest is that the father and son relationship, and Deron asked this kind of yesterday with our little informal call, is like, you know, I think we got lucky is that, you know, anybody that has a father and son relationship, you try to tell them something, they don't listen to you. And that's the majority of scenarios, okay? No matter who you are or whatever it is, there's a battle, right? And we were able to go along his whole life, even till now. I mean, there's battles, but we understand that there's a give and take, and you know, he's much more mature now. So the difference is, back then, I always tell him, you don't know what you don't know, right? We always tell them, and they don't, and then they experience it and they fail, and that's when you go, okay, you're going to do it my way. So I think with that is that you know, from the aspect of, you know, I got lucky that Jameson was able to adapt and go along with what I said. And then, but I also brought credibility, right? For a guy that, you know, you guys are going to ask, what level did I play? Well, I played high school football, right? I played high school football. We went to the state championship, and I got friends that went to the NFL. So I was able to leverage that kind of expertise to teach other people, right, that didn't know anything, and that's why I was able to go to China, is because, you know, the knowledge that I have to see, you know, teaching a young athlete from the beginning to the, you know, to where he's at, you know, I would say, you know, Jameson's at the level right now that's hard to get to. You know, he's not a pro because he just finished college, but you know, with in mind, he's going to continue to play. So.
So let's continue on that, because I think, I don't know if you won it, but you got nominated for like Offensive Player of the Year for Ivy Leagues. You've made a documentary, or you raised money for a documentary, The Improbable Road to the NFL. And I believe when when you were on Will's podcast, you were trying to raise money, you were like, I don't know, $15,000. Now it's like exceeded your goals. You got nearly $100,000 raised towards this effort. What do you want to do with this media piece?
Yeah, first of all, Will, great job on the timing of this podcast, man. So we'll be friends forever. FF, friends forever. If you don't know what FF means, but so we gratefully thank you for doing that. But here's what I'm going to say is that, the story doesn't get interesting. It seems interesting now, and I'm not downplaying it, is that because he already had a tough road. He was denied everywhere, right? You're not big enough, you're not strong enough. Like, even at high school. So if you guys know and I'll tell you a great story right now, segue. In high school, we wanted to get Jameson in the best high school in Southern California. So where did we go? Well, we went to Harvard Westlake, right? So Clifton can tell you he sent 3 kids to Harvard Westlake and so forth. And it's the most prestigious high school. Guess who called me today? Is the athletic director. The athletic director of Harvard Westlake called me today because they want to hire a football coach. And he wasn't looking at me but he wanted my recommendation. He goes, what your son did. I said, you guys still treat him as alumni there? Because we left, right? Yeah. He goes, absolutely. He goes, you're welcome. Now he's like,
keeping him.
He's like, yeah. You're welcome to come back anytime, VIP. So if you guys know Harvard Westlake, it is, and you got the AD calling you to say, hey, we'd like to get your opinion about this. And all I'm saying is, even at high school, they were like, oh, he can't play at that level. He can't do this. He's too small. Wow. Because look, he's bigger than everybody in this room, but he's too small, right? And because he's small, he's not fast enough. But he's faster than 90% of the players he plays against, because he's got the rushing touchdowns in the Ivy League, right? And the perfect thing is, nobody ever believes in that until, he shows up. So that's the thing, well, I'll start with this. That's the fight in life, right? The fight to prove yourself, the fight in everything you do. I look at when Trump, got shot, he went like this, the fight. I was doing that my fucking whole life, the fight. We got kids calling us names, you got to go fight. Like, come on, give me a break. He's a multi-billionaire, fight. Yeah, like he has no fight, right? Yeah. No, he does. But anyways, that's the gist right now. Like, Jameson is fighting, And then Deron, thank you for mentioning. So he's up. So if you guys follow college football, this is a simple question, okay? And I want to get what is the award for the best college player of the year? What's that award called?
Heisman.
What is it? The Heisman, right? And I have Heisman friend. Ricky Williams is a good friend of mine. I have a Heisman photo with a lot of people. So the next level is they give out, because the Ivy League is a different setup, as you guys all know. It's an education first and sports second. So they give out an award called the Bushnell Trophy, which is given out to the best player of the Ivy League. So if you follow the NFL, Jason Garrett, okay, at the NFL, he was at Princeton, and then Ryan Fitzpatrick, okay, of course they both won. So give you that. Those two you guys all heard of, right? Tell me who hasn't heard of Ryan Fitzpatrick. If you haven't, then you should walk out of the room. Because you're in the wrong room.
Clifton gets a
You're
bye.
in the wrong
That's
room
okay.
if you haven't heard. So he went to Harvard. Yeah, even Lee over here knows. Look. Jameson has the record that nobody has at Ivy League, okay? He has 50-30. What does 50-30 mean? Just take a shot.
50 touchdowns, 30
50 passing, 30 rushing. Go look it up. He's the only one. He's the first and only. that's going to be hard to beat because he's got 30 rushing touchdowns as a quarterback. So, anyways, just brag a little bit. Thank you. So, you give me a mic, you give me lights, I'm going to brag a little bit. But
this is what I'm here for.
So,
but I actually want to ask this question because, again, if you can't tell, the guy's a little passionate. Obviously, very proud of Jameson, as we all are. The question is, what if he doesn't succeed in the goal? What if he doesn't make it to the NFL? Like, what do you do next? Or what is the next, locker room coach speech that you give either to him or to the broader community?
hey, we got to stay positive.
There's
no negative.
Okay, all right.
Look, we're all here because we believe in ourselves. No, Deron, I'm just kidding. Look, there's always the situation that doesn't, right? And this is, I think you guys, all of you guys here, if you guys are interested in, being part of FF or FF Bros, we all have different life experiences and careers that we fight and we do. So each of you guys, I know, have similar past stories. But here's the thing: is like, if you don't try, how do you know you don't get it? So a lot of people will tell you, the NFL is very hard. The NFL is difficult. He's too short. He's not fast enough. He's, looks differently. Do you know we've been getting that ever since he's, a little boy, and even now he's up for the award. I'm still getting that. So I don't give a shit what other people think. We just need one person to like him at the NFL level. Just one. I don't care who it is. Just need one. But so we're gonna keep trying.
Yeah.
But to your point, just a little secret behind closed doors here. Look, we're not worried. Is why did he go to an Ivy League school, right? Why did he go? Thank you. This is my brother Steve. I'm here because of him, man. What's up, brother? Thank you. So bottom line is, we do what we do is we all have backup plans, right? So the backup in all our lives, I'm sure you guys have your own strategy. Mine was always get him the best education, go to the best high school, get him the best college, let it all play itself out. And that's what it is. So he's at the Ivy League. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you secrets because this is from another day, but there are some good things that he'll have himself lined up for.
Very exciting. Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah. Let's pivot a little bit. Your health, that has been definitely a challenge, journey, but something that you've really faced with the same spirit and gumption. And maybe you can share with everybody here, what have you gone through in the last couple of years? And then we'll get into more of the feelings and experiences and takeaways from that.
Well, there's going to be a little downer conversation about that, right? As we all know, but we'll try to keep it upbeat. But it's been 2.5 years, okay, 2.5 since I was first diagnosed, because I had to go look up, kind of the chronological situation. But one of the things tonight, I get a few. I'll show you a photo. And I'll let you guys know the fight that I went through. And this was during Jameson's, his start of his sophomore season. And I've never missed anything of his in his life. One is because I've always coached, right? And then you just don't miss because this is what we do. Mm-hmm. And I missed 2 games. And that was part of, what life took you on a detour. It said, if you don't go and do these treatments, you may never get better. So I was diagnosed with Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. But where's Gil? Where are you, Gil?
Right here.
Okay, so Gil was, I met Gil when he was new. He actually came in as a new FF bro, and this guy ends up being a brain radiologist, you know, and he studied at UCLA and so forth like that. And so that was interesting when we met. And then he was a good. I'm gonna do a pitch. He was the guy that invested for me. Like he invested in a financial firm I was working on when I had my brain issue. So thank you, Gil. I'm gonna give you a plug right there. So he had his doctors look at it. If you guys know when you get brain tumor, do you guys know what's the most severe one? Gil, you can't answer because I know you know. Oh wow, you guys, this is a very smart group. Yeah, you're an eye doctor.
A's around.
Yeah. So good. We got some educated medical guys here. Look, they were all worried, right? That you know, my family showed me that. I mean, that's basically life-threatening, and but they didn't. It took a long time to figure out. I mean, it took about 6 to 9 months or to really figure out, because once I had brain surgery, they take it out, and then they're like, "Oh, you're clear." So I'm at UCLA, and I hate Ronald Reagan, right? So John, you go there. I hate Ronald Reagan Hospital because I don't want to go back there. But
come back again, Joe.
But it's definitely not a fun place to be, even though it's it gave me all the life afterwards. But I'll tell you a funny story, Clifton. You enjoy this. So we go, and Gil, I don't know if you remember this story. So we live in El Segundo, and so emergency, you go to Torrance Memorial, which is not UCLA. You go to Torrance Memorial, and the doctors there were ready to cut me open. Okay, they're like, "You have a brain tumor. It needs to be taken out right now." And I'm in the hospital, and I'm like, and you guys can see my personality. This is what the fuck are you saying, man? Give me a break. I mean, I was having symptoms. I was having problems. So I knew, like
what were the symptoms that you were?
So I lost feeling in my left arm, my left side. Numbness. We thought it was a stroke going there. And when you have these kind of symptoms, they take you quickly. And so that's why he diagnosed. And so we're in the thing, and then lo and behold, it's kind of the relationships you built throughout the life, and then and they're like, "You can't have your surgery here at Torrance Memorial." I mean, all the people that that were doctors and stuff, and I had a thoracic surgeon from Cedars, and he's like, "You can't be doing it there." I'm like, "So check myself out, okay? Check myself out. Where do I go next, right?" Because every brain surgeon, if you guys can believe it, they're booked. I mean, we have a lot of problems in our world. I mean, they're booked. You couldn't get in. So lo and behold, the top surgeon, let's test John Swan if he knows. Who's the top brain surgeon at UCLA?
I have no idea.
No, it's Linda Liao. Go look her up. She's a mom at Harvard Westlake.
Oh, wow.
Okay, her daughter was that same year with Jameson, of course, left. And so the people that was with us, they're like, "You need to go to UCLA. If you can get to Linda, go get Linda to do it." And Linda was months booked, like out. It would be like, the interns coming in to cut you open, right? So I wasn't ready to do that. And Heidi emailed, and I still had the Harvard Westlake. Do you know what the color of the book is, Clifton? No, it's red. It's called the Red Book. So, okay, whatever. So we had all her personal information, and we personally emailed her, and she literally responded in a few hours and said, "My office will call you." So,
yeah.
And I had my surgery with her.
And so what literally did you feel getting a diagnosis? You have a brain tumor. You have to be operated upon. I mean, did the fight kick in, or was it, more of a kind of a fear-based, state, which I think would be natural.
Well, kind of the description, the fight kicked in when, remember, Torrance wanted to cut me open, and I said
like,
no. I was ready to die there, I'll be honest with you, because I didn't want anything of that nature to happen. And then you get some sense into you, and you're like, wait a minute, you can't go now because you still have your kids. I haven't seen my daughter's, wedding, and this is that's the problem. You go through there like, wait, you haven't even started your life, their life, and so that's how you end up. Look, I'm going to tell you this. Anybody in this room, probably I'm the only one that has chemo, right? Anybody else? Any chemo participants? So that's good for you. But I had one worse. I had a stem cell transplant that I was ready to not do. And my oncologist, he actually was he's a very good friend now. He went to Yale. So during the sessions of all these treatment, just so you guys know, is that you're not supposed to leave. You're not supposed to leave the hospital. I left, went to New York, watched my son play, and came back and started the next treatment. Nobody could believe that. When I was doing the treatment, everybody around me looked like they were dying. And I'm like, well, I'm getting on a plane. And they were worried, not just all the infection, it was the COVID too. Like during my time, I also had COVID as an issue, right? 22, COVID was still kind of, we're all wearing masks on the plane, right? So I chose that path because I was like, I live once and I'm gonna go and do that. So that's the fight, that's the fight.
That's so courageous and very inspiring. As you mentioned, this is part of life. And I think that's something that's so understatedly beautiful about you and how you face this. And so tell us where you are now with the disease, because you said, hey, it's not over. What did you mean by that?
Right. And unfortunately, it's not over, right? Because they won't clear until 5 years. So when you have this disease, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, they got to make sure your blood cycle clears for 5 years. So the good news is when you and I talked, so I just had my half a year MRI. So the key word is I'm stable. So we're going to use stable as a very positive word these days. So the doctor, Kalon from Yale, goes, Joe, you're stable. I don't need to see you. So I still have to go through a tunnel every 6 months to make sure, because it came back. That's the whole story that, Linda Liao, we go and work real hard to get her to take this thing out of my head. It came back. And I think that's why cancer is kind of interesting. I mean, when Darren and I were talking about this, prior to this, I didn't really know anybody that has gone through this kind of fight, and you haven't either, right? So that's good for you guys, right? That's good for all of us that you haven't had to encounter that. But I'm right here to kind of talk you through it. But one of the things I think is because of my my personality, I was able to just like it's a competition. Okay, I got beat. I'm going to figure out how to go win the next game. That's it.
I love that.
Yeah, that's the real sense.
Yeah. So you have to tell us when the 5 years is officially clear, so we can all get together.
We're 2.5. We're 2.5.
Or we're going to party in 2.5 years, big time. So before we leave that topic, though, was there anything that you felt like you needed to say to your kids or family, about it? Or how did you bring it up to them?
Well, one thing, for the people that know me really well here, I mean, our family's pretty tight, right? There's only 4 of us, so it's not like, I have extended and they're also attached, but, for my son Jameson, my daughter Harrison, they were attached. So just give you an idea, my daughter, we fight so much, but the saying of the you're a daddy's girl, what do they call it?
Yeah, daddy's girl.
Daddy's girl, right. The thing is that is such a a cliche, because like we love our daughters. Like, you don't have to be, I mean, look, my daughter literally slept at UCLA. She hates Ronald Reagan too. She like, they're like, you can't stay here, and then she'll sleep next to me. And then so all along the way, like, I don't need to tell him anything, because she's getting it before I'm getting it. Because look, I was not coherent. When you're on chemo, you're on the worst pain medication that they can give you. You're delirious. Steve Lou just said, "Wow, Joe, you look a lot better now." Look, if you guys saw me, a year and a half ago, I look completely different, right? And I'm telling you guys, gaining weight is easy, and that's not good. But anyways, so I gained my weight back. But you got to work at it. Somebody was asking me, "Are you back working out?" Yeah, you have to, because the doctor's like, if you don't do it, your body's gonna go back way. So he goes, the reason your body was able to fight and win, because you were helping your body by getting it stronger. So to you guys, go walk, go exercise. If you get sick, at least your body can help you fight that. So that I think that's where it was. So
that's so important.
Yeah.
When did you join FF?
05, right? 05.
So next year, for prospective members,
every
decade that you've been a brother is considered a star.
Oh,
so
there you
next
go.
year,
I got a star, guys.
You're going to have 2 stars, a 2-star brother. That's quite an accomplishment.
All right. There you go.
What is it about FF that made you want to become a brother? And what have you gotten out of your 2 decades of, or nearly 2 decades of?
Well, this is an FF event, right? Okay, so, well, first of all, I'm going to give where credit's due. Steve, in this room, the only person that's been with me a long time in this room is Steve, and nobody else has been to my wedding. Steve, you been to my wedding? Yeah, so I think, you give the credit to people that brought you along, Look, I don't know anything about FF before Steve introduced us to FF, because I told you what my passion was, right? I had my own brotherhood already, so it's different, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, but I'm gonna say this though, the people that I've recently met has really been tremendous. I'm gonna give Will's credit here. When he approached me for the podcast, I'm like, what is this young guy doing, right? He wants to make a name for himself on something, but no, he has right intentions. So and I see that, right? So Will, if I never said that to you, it was really good intentions, and I'm privileged to have you part of our leadership, and respect you, and Corey. Corey, you're with the family. You're married to the sister, and I mean, it's
nepotism.
I'm not giving you that much credit. I'm not giving you, and I know Cora, so we'll get another story. Not in that other way. She used to work at Countrywide, and I was, I put them back together. That's why he's.
Yeah, there you go.
See, right? You're gonna give me that, right? I brought you guys back together. But anyways, the brotherhood is the key, right? The brotherhood is what you get out of this, right? Darren and I have been longtime friends. He was actually our pledge master, right? Is right? Yeah. You had that role?
Yeah.
And so we became, so not everybody can sit here at this chair. I'm just going to tell you in this room. I doubt anybody can sit in this chair except for maybe Steve, but, well, I'll give you a shot, Will. You can sit in this chair. But anyway, no, just all kidding aside, guys. Look, it's a brotherhood for all the new FF brothers, man. Show us what you got, man. Prove to us that you want to be part of this, And you got a whole team behind you. And that's what's important. You got a whole network of people behind you in anything you do. And that's what's important about FF, I think. So that's what we got to remember that, right? You make some great relationships. You're not going to meet everybody, but the ones you do meet, they're lifetime. I'll give another one. Like, so anybody know Ryan Sway?
Yeah.
Okay, is the mic dead now?
Yeah.
So Ryan went and spent with us for Jameson's last game. He flew from Vegas, brought his whole freaking family, flew out there and spend the time. And him and I would always go back, and it's like, you and I would have never met. So I think that's what you look at. Like the friends that you make, don't look at the volume, look at the quality, and then go from there. You don't know who you're going to end up meeting, and Ryan and I are forever grateful for FF, because Ryan and I didn't have connections other than football, but then two guys in different areas would have never really kind of connected. But so Ryan and I are very, very, very close, and I owe that to FF. So
yeah, that's a great illustration. I'm so glad you brought up that point, that we are diverse. We all have a commonality of our Chinese heritage and values, but we come from different walks of life, different professions, but when we are together, we are friends forever.
We are friends, yeah, and we are friends forever. See, that's it. And that's the thing, you know. I was wondering if this new recruit was going to show up today. So I met him at Ron's place, and he kept asking me, "What does FF stand for?" And I knew he was not in good intentions. Okay, so you guys know who I am now. So I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck do you think it means?" So I don't think he's in the room anymore. So don't be fucking asking me what this FF means. You'll figure it out yourself. You know, I think everybody gets all tied up. Like when they created that name, that was on them, right? Like don't. You know, people like to make innuendations of flip flap, right? Or flip flop, whatever it is, right? So, anyways, don't take that. Just move on as brotherhood. We are the brotherhood, right?
Yes.
Is that fair?
Is
that fair?
Yeah.
Show us what you got.
Yeah.
Show us what you got. There you go.
Well, so on that note, I want to thank you, Joe, so much for being open, vulnerable, sharing your incredible story. We're rooting for you, of course. We're here for you anytime. And so let's give it up for Joe.
Hey,
Joe.
thanks, guys.
Love you, man.